Hello students, today again I am doing a revision part of this chapter, that is part 3 or unit 3, that is US hegemony in world politics. So we have already winded up the video, we have already finished up the chapters, and now let me again go through a revision, okay, of just a little bit of everything. Now in this chapter here, this US hegemony, we have seen how did the whole of the international system has been turned up into unipolar system after the disintegration of Soviet Union. Okay, so from 1991, the world is on the unipolar system. Okay, so US is hegemonizing the world. US is hegemonizing the world in its own way with its own type of things. Okay, so it's through invasion, maybe through military attack, maybe through maybe is the way of technology that it is using. It is in its economic realm, then in its cultural sector. Okay, so in various ways it was seen that US is hegemonizing the world. Now, what does hegemony mean? Hegemony means the power of a strong country. Okay, when in the international system or in a international arena, there is left only one superpower, one strong power which can influence the other states, other countries. Okay, which is different types of tactics, technology, culture, style, fashion, economic pattern. Okay, that is called hegemony. Okay, so in this way it was seen that militarily, then politically, then economically, diplomatically, culturally, US is in its hegemonic way. Okay, it is hegemonic way and it's influencing the world in a various way, in its various pattern. Now, after the definition, we came to the area, what are the structures, what are the three structures of hegemony, types of hegemonies that we have came across. First of all, that was US hegemony as hard power. So US hegemony as hard power means the military power that US is going through. Okay, now the military power is what? It is the strong military power, the technological realm through which the military power is being utilized by US. Okay, so we have seen when we combine 12 countries on one side in its military realm, and in the opposite side is alone US. Okay, so US alone can be compared with the 12 countries. Okay, just see the power of US. Then we have seen its technological growth. Okay, the arms, immunization. Then we cannot forget that in the US is the first country which has gone through its nuclearization. Okay, it is the first country which has hold on its nuclear weapon, developed its nuclear weapon. So it's militarily very strong. Okay, its army power, the manpower, the army manpower that they have is very strong. The technology that they are using is very strong. The warfare method that they are using is very strong. Then we come to the next one, that is US hegemony as structural power, that is economic power. So in economic term, we have seen that US is using its global public goods. In this sense, the global public good is taken up into two areas. Okay, one is sea lane of communication, that is the naval power. Okay, the naval power, the sea power that is using by US, that was held before or used before the Second World War, that is by Britain, and now it was after Second World War it has changed and now it is being used and monopolized by US, the naval power. Okay, the trade business, how to run the trade business in sea area. Okay, how to do all these things in sea area. The whole navigation system has been turned up or used up by US. And the other one is internet system. Okay, the internet is being using up by US. First of all, it was invented in a military project by US. Okay, and then it has spread to the whole of the country today, and now without internet we cannot live today. Okay, so we know what is internet system, interlinking system, networking system. So this is the two global public goods that US has used. And then we have seen also the 28% of economic share that US is holding in the whole world. Okay. Then we have seen is 15 to 20% of the domestic product that they are utilizing or using. Okay, and it is contributing in the economic pattern of its own. Then we have seen in the other area, that is the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Okay, then that is World Trade Organization. This is being used and being created by US itself. Okay, so it was created by these are the two international institutions that is used. One is World Trade Organization, we all know, and one is International Monetary Fund, that is the bank system. Okay, that is World Bank. So these are working today, and those are being first of all developed. The concept has been developed by US. Then we have seen the MBA degree. How did the MBA degree today came and being used up in the whole world, and it came as a degree. First of all, the MBA was just thought of. Okay, what it is? Now it is a skill, a pattern, a study pattern that is used for business areas. So that is MBA degree. The first MBA school was established in US, Wharton School, and afterwards 1881, and afterwards it has been after 1950 it was spread to whole of the world, and today we all know about the MBA degree. There are so many universities, colleges are there for MBA degree. Okay, this is the structural power. Then we came to the next one, that is the soft power. Soft power means the cultural power of US. So fashion, style, then pattern, then trend, fast food system, canned food system, okay, blue jeans, already we have done all these things. So these are the cultural pattern trend that US has set on, and now this has been influenced to the whole of the world. We today in India also, we are using those type of pattern, those type of trend, those type of style and fashion. So that is the US culture. Okay, so US culture that is adopting by the whole world. Okay, so in these three sectors we have seen how did US is hegemonizing the world. Then we have seen the invasion, different types of invasion that has gone through US. Okay, some of them are like Iraq War, that was the first Gulf War, 1991. We have seen. Then we have seen the Clinton era. Okay, Clinton era, that is the Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Infinite Reach. Okay, then different types of other attacks, invasion actions that America went through from time to time. This reflects the military strength of US in different countries that they have gone through. Okay, and then we have seen the different types of constraints that was put on US. Okay, so far we have seen this strength, style, fashion, the influence of US. Now the constraint means what? The constraint means that US can be used, US can be put on a constraint, US can be put on a constraint by some methods. Okay, the first method is the institutional architecture. Okay, so in institutional architecture we have studied about the three organs: executive, legislature, and judiciary. Executive in US means the ministers, president, the ministers, and the legislature means the parliament, that is the Congress. US parliament is known as Congress, and judiciary is the Supreme Court. So these three are working in their own sphere, but one is putting check one or the other in a other sense. Okay, suppose a bill is passed by executive, that is the president, that has to go to the Congress, that is the parliament, legislature. Okay, and so that has to pass there. Some types of criticism may come out there, and if there is some type of conflict in executive or in legislature or between the two, then that can be settled up by whom? By the judiciary. So they have a system of separation of power or system of checks and balances. One puts check and balance the three organs in their own way. So this is a type of constraint that is put in its own way in the American country. Okay, we can say that. And then we have seen other constraint. The other constraint is what? That is the open nature of US society, where there are critics, there are artists, there are social activists, okay, there are so many organizations, there are publics who can put an opinion on the US policies, on the US administration, on the US things, issues that come across from time to time. Okay, they can also put some criticism point. Okay, then we have seen the other one, that is the NATO. So we all know about NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Okay, so that was an alliance made during the Cold War time by US, and there are so many countries which has joined up the capitalist line under US. Now so many countries were there, and US cannot alone just monopolize its power, just forcefully use its power, okay, by themselves without listening to the other members of NATO. Okay, so there we can say that US can put in a moderate way. It can be put in a moderate way. It can be in with some types of constraint can be put by this NATO alliance, by other countries also. Okay, because without that NATO can't work, because there is a joint venture, joint alliance system that went up with NATO organization. Okay, it has to go together. So there sometimes US can be seen in a bound position. Okay, so these are the three types of constraint that we went through. And the other part we have seen, that is the ways to overcome US hegemony. Okay, now how did US hegemony can be overcome? Okay, can US be overcome or cannot be overcome, or what to do? So again, some of the scholars, they have given up three types of things. Okay, now three strategies we can say. One is bandwagon strategy. Bandwagon strategy means to go with the US policies, to flow with the US culture, with the US policies. Okay, so it may be beneficial to work with one superpower, one of the strongest power. Okay, like India, once upon a time they were not a good friend of US. Okay, US also didn't like India. But after 1991, India also felt that they have to go and just have to take the share of, or to go or to make a friend with some strong country for their economic development after the disintegration of Soviet Union. So it was seen in that India also has went up and made friendship with America. Even America was willing to do that. So bandwagon strategy means to go to flow with the US way, US culture, US economic pattern and all this. Okay, and other one is hide strategy, that is not to go with US, to keep aloof, to keep separate from US policies, US things, US issues. Now like China, Russia once upon a time didn't went with US. Even China didn't went with US and didn't want to go with US policies, because China still today is a communist country. Okay, so this is called hide strategy, means not to go with US policies. And then there was non-state actor, challenges from non-state actor. That is some of the critical thing or resistance can be put by the critics or by the activists, by the NGOs, all this. Okay, so many times even in US also many people can, or it was seen that they are criticizing the US policies from time to time, mainly the military invention that they go through. Okay, it was seen in US. So these are the three ways, okay, how to overcome US policies from time to time. It was seen that today we are living in a global village. Okay, we are presumed that we are living in a global village, and in the global village is the whole world. Okay, and from this whole world, there are so many states which are taken up as a village. And from this whole area, the village headman is the who is running the, or who is playing the bossism role, that is US. Okay, because today there is no international government. UN is there, and UN is in just intergovernmental organization where there are so many countries are its members. Okay, so who will take the one way decision in the whole world if some issues are coming up? Okay, so it was seen, being the strongest country US, being the hegemonized country US, it is taking, most of the time it is taking some of the major decisions in the world. Okay, like the Iraq invasion. When Iraq invasion was done, Okay, 2003 when Iraq invasion was done, that time even US didn't bother about the UN sanction, UN Security Council policies, issues, sanction was not bothered by US. So sometime it was seen that they are playing the bossism role. Okay, so it was presumed that we are living in a global village and US is the village headman, and we all have to listen to the village headman once or the other, or if we don't listen, it may not be beneficial for us. Okay, because they are the strongest power. It was the strongest power with this NATO alliance. So what to do? We may resist sometime, but resistance may come in a very negative sense also. Okay, so what to do? So this is the role of the global village. We can presume like that. Okay, and the last part in this chapter we have seen the Indo-US relationship. Okay, so for a long time Indo-US relationship, America was not a good friend of US right from before. So America didn't like India because India didn't enter into NATO alliance that time during the Cold War time. So after the disintegration of Soviet Union 1991, it was seen that India that time was its economy was not developing, so India needed a strong partner, economic partner, okay, in the international arena. And even America is searching for a good friend in the Asian continent. So they both came closer, and then India opened up its market, international market, in like they have gone through LPG system, and capitalist line have been adopted by India. And then it was seen that both tried to came closer to each other. Okay, and then they have developed so many things, they have done so many deals, so many things were being done, economic export import business has been done. India was taking arms and ammunition from US, then many nuclear materials have been taken from US. Okay, all these things. Even it was seen that Boeing companies are being run by many Indians. Many Indian staffs were there who are there in that company. Then it was seeing the Silicon Valley has been observed that many Indians were there in the Silicon Valley. Okay, then 35% above are the startup in the software sector by Indo-American companies, joint venture companies. Okay, so it was again seen that in a nuclear way also, nuclear weaponization, when America didn't like India went on with the nuclearization. Okay, during Indira Gandhi's regime. So that time afterwards, India was forced to sign the NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty. Okay, but India didn't join the treaty, and India didn't wanted to go through because it was a discriminatory policy according to India. So afterwards, 2008, India has signed a deal, nuclear deal. It was not NPT, but a nuclear deal was signed by India, but with its own terms and conditions. Okay, India always has thought and said to the world that they are using nuclear for its peaceful purposes. Okay, they won't use any nuclear weapon, but they are keeping it for a safe purposes. And with the term and condition, US has agreed to go, and they have signed that nuclear deal in 2008. Then when after Bush came, Bill Clinton came, then Bush came, then afterwards Barack Obama came, and then now Biden. So all these people, they are there, and they have said that India is a good friend. India could be a good friend of America, even today and in the near future also. Okay, many strategic partnership deal has been done in those years. Okay, during their regime. So it is seen that Indo-American friendship is going very well today, and it may be good that India and US can go like that in a very good way, very smooth manner. Okay, because India needs a strong partner sometime or the other. Okay, because still India has to go a long way in its development area. Okay, so these are some of the areas that I have went through today, students, and I have gone through a little bit revision way that chapter. Okay, so I hope you understand, students. Thank you.